Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Flying Officer Jack Corkhill. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and by students on behalf of the following school: the Merredin College, Merredin Plains, Queensland. Please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Boys and girls, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help Australians to understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Gunner Tallan Le Brocq. Daniel Le Brocq was born in 1895, one of 12 children born to Andrew and Mary Le Brocq of Canberra, Victoria. Daniel was the oldest surviving child in the family. 6 of his siblings have died in infancy. Known as Denny to his family and friends, he attended state school in Canberra and later moved with his family to St James in northern Victoria, where he worked as a hairdresser and tobacconist. He was well known and liked in St James, where he was a prominent member of the fire brigade, as well as local football and cricket clubs. He gained military experience by serving in a local cadet unit. Le Brocq enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 13th of August 1915 and began training with the 21st Infantry Battalion. In November, he set sail for Melbourne aboard the transport ship Demosthenes and arrived in Egypt for further training and preparation for the war on the Western Front. Le Brocq was in Egypt as the Australian Imperial Force underwent a period of rapid expansion and reorganisation after the evacuation from Gallipoli. In February, he transferred to the newly formed 60th Battalion, and in March, after a brief period in the 57th Battalion, transferred from infantry to artillery to the 51st Battery of the 13th Field Artillery Brigade. Artillery supported troops in the field by providing high explosive and shrapnel fire on enemy defences and communication lines. In June 1916, Le Brocq and his unit sailed from Egypt for France and soon began service at Bois-Grenier, near Armentières, on the French-Belgian border. During his service, Le Brocq became a popular member of his unit, who later commented that he became a favourite in the group, who was held in high esteem and who was well liked for his cheery jokes and happy-go-lucky ways. In northern France, Le Brocq and the 13th Field Artillery Brigade spent a number of days laying artillery fire in preparation for the Battle of Fromelles, Australia's first major engagement on the Western Front, which was due to begin on the 19th of July. Le Brocq's 51st Battery fired high explosive and artillery shells on the German lines and aimed part of their fire at German barbed wire entanglements in no man's land in an attempt to clear a path for the Australian attack. Providing this fire attracted significant German retaliation artillery fire. On the 16th of July, Le Brocq's unit came under heavy shrapnel and gas shelling. On the 18th of July, the day before the battle, Le Brocq wrote a letter home to his parents in Australia. He wrote that he was happy that he was serving in artillery and not in the trenches, and that he felt quite safe as long as the Germans did not score a direct hit on his position. He wrote, "We are getting quite used to the shells and noise now. Talk about the horrors of war. It sounds nothing to read it in the papers. I will conclude with best love to all. Remember me to all inquiring friends." Hours after penning that letter, Le Brocq and his artillery battery were in the process of laying preparatory fire on the German lines when they came under heavy German high explosive and shrapnel artillery fire. They attempted to find cover, but many did not make it out of the way of the German onslaught. Le Brocq was killed instantly by a German shell. He was 21 years old. He is buried in the Rue David Military Cemetery, Flers-Bay, where nearly 900 soldiers of the First World War now lie. His parents chose the inscription for his grave. His parting words, "I'll do my best along with the rest." Gunner Daniel Tallan Le Brocq's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Gunner Daniel Tallan Le Brocq, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.